Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Breathe Motivation. It is Monday. This is episode 116. So this is Breathe Motivation. My name is Anthony Hester. I'm the host and founder. So glad you guys could join us. Our goal and our intent is to help you find purpose and passion in everything you do on a day-to-day basis. And that's why we're here every day with you. So we bring you this podcast Sunday through Saturday to help you along the way throughout your week and helping you find your purpose and passion. So hopefully we're doing that. I know we're doing that because I get, great information from you guys. I get great feedback. I get to interact with you guys. I get to coach some of you guys on a one-to-one basis. It's always good, right? So I'm so glad to be here with you guys every day. And I hope that you guys are gaining some things out of this. And I hope that, if you guys want something more or you guys want a little bit less, or I don't know what you guys want. It's hard for me. I can't read your minds. I'm not a psychic. So if you guys have any feedback for me, I would love to hear about it. I'll start putting that survey in every episode. I think I haven't been doing that the last couple of ones, but there's always a survey link so you can put more in there. I've gotten some great feedback from you guys, so I greatly appreciate you guys that have taken that survey to help this show get better, because at the end of the day, this show is yours, not mine. It's all of ours, right? Our goal is to, create this positive wave throughout the world, and that's what we're doing. So continue to share that with me. So breathemotivation.com, that was recently updated. I wanted to tell you guys that. So check it out. It looks great. I had that done professionally instead of me doing it. So it was very nice. And, at the bottom, you guys can see who did it if you guys want to be able to use them as well. So feel free to reach out to me if you guys have any questions, or let me know what your feedback is on the website. So I hope you guys enjoy that. So I wanted to give you guys kind of a little insight into, I always try to give you guys a little insight into this podcast. And these last couple of weeks, they've been some it's been a couple crazy weeks, right? So I don't know if I've probably told you guys, I transitioned to another job with another company. And it has been like the craziest 2 weeks of my life. And, I always tell you guys, and yesterday we kind of talked about this yesterday, and we talked about, head games and how we have to, really look at our lives and out of the perspective of what we see, right? We want to look at positive things. We want to look at the positive outlooks. And man, was I challenged these last couple weeks. It's funny to I can laugh about it now, but man, I was not laughing the last 2 weeks. So it was interesting because I transitioned to a whole nother industry, right? A whole nother company. Before I'd been in, telecommunications. So I was, selling cell phones or home internet, TV, phone, all that good stuff, or, a couple major companies. And those were great. And now I'm getting into like staffing and recruiting. And I don't like to say the company's names, but, this transition has been the craziest probably transition I've ever been a part of. And today's topic is going to be, I'm going to call it Land of the Lost. So let me give you the definition. I'll kind of go into that and how we can, stop feeling lost. So lost is our definition today. So it's unable to find one's way, not knowing one's whereabouts. So this last 2 weeks, so with this podcast, I used to, record these like the night before, or I'd record maybe 1 or 2 episodes in advance. So I've actually recorded, probably 3 or 4 or even 5 sometimes in advance. And then with the interviews, I've done some interviews in time. So when I'm able, when I record multiple in a row, it gives me more free time to be able to kind of get other things done. So like the website and having these interviews with people, so I can prepare those weeks in advance because we do them every Wednesday. And, it gives me time to work on my website. It gives me time to work out, the remainder of Breathe Motivation. So Breathe Motivation isn't just a podcast. It's my coaching. So I get to do one-on-one coaching. So I have some of those. So it gives me a little bit more free time. So that's a little bit of insight into Breathe Motivation and what I'm working on. So I have a full-time job, and then I also have a full-time job doing this Breathe Motivation, because this is, in the end, this is my big goal and dream and focus is, this is it, right? So I want to be able to be focused on this. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been recording in advance, but man, was I challenged. I was challenged. And I always want to tell you guys about this stuff because I'm an everyday person just like you are. I'm some normal guy that I'm recording this in my house. I don't have some big studio. I don't have, this isn't my primary, I do focus on this because I enjoy doing this, but it's not my primary focus. I've got all these other things going on. But in the last 2 weeks, I have reverted back to some of my old habits, and it was kind of crazy because I felt some anxiety kind of creep back in, and I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? So my first my first week at this job, I saw a lot of people transition out of this job. So I'm coming in brand new, right? So my boss resigned, and I think it was a mutual resign, my second day. Crazy, right? So my first day was coming in, and I expect the first day to kind of be, hey, you're going to do some trainings, you're going to do this stuff on the computer, which was fine. And I'm all good for that, right? That's what's expected. So I went in, and maybe my expectations were a little bit, I wouldn't even say they were too high. I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to go through this process. But my first day, I barely interacted with my boss, right? So it was interesting to come in, and I maybe said a total of maybe 400 words all day to my boss. So I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird. That's really weird, right? So we go through the process, and then this girl's like, oh, hey, I'm going to put in my 2 weeks. She's chasing her dream of being a nurse. It was cool. And I was like, okay, cool. That's not a big of a deal. No red flag there. So the next day I come in, my boss resigns. And I'm like, okay, cool. And if I have one gift, uh, you know, that I feel like I'm really, that's my gift, is to be able to read into situations or read into people and understanding things without really knowing exactly what's going on. I just have this great intuition of feeling these things. So I knew something was up on Monday. So my boss left on Tuesday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I get into? And I was like, no big deal. I'm coming into this. I'm a smart guy. I can figure this out. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be focused. And so the rest of the week was a mess. So I was sitting there on the computer, I'd shadow some people. There was really no direction. I just felt lost. And I was like, what is going on? Like, is this going to get better? And then the, vice president of the market, office is out of here. We had a conversation, and, just, say, hey, I've gone through transitions like this myself. You're going to, be good and everything like that. So I was good. Monday through Thursday, I was really focused, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make the best out of this, whether I have a boss or not. At the end of the day, I can't blame them for not being able to get my job done if I just don't, if I'm just sitting here, right? So, and I wasn't just sitting there. I was focused on training. I was focused on, really understanding the business and really, shadowing as many people as I could. So Friday hit, and I was like, oh my gosh, it just kind of smacked me in my face. And I was like, holy crap, this is going to be an interesting ride. I hadn't been on a ride like this in, forever, or even, something that's going to test me, right? So my goal for switching positions was to learn a whole nother industry. And a lot of the times when you go into another industry, one, it's kind of, I always say that I enjoy change and I embrace change. And that's why I put that in there as one of the key principles of Breathe, the embrace change, the E at the end of Breathe, because I enjoy change and I enjoy the ideas and, really just kind of learning new things, right? So I always go into a new, position or a new opportunity with an open mind. And I love it, and I enjoy meeting new people, and I enjoy learning new things. But man, this week, that first week really tested me, and even into the second week. So as we go through the second week, I get a new boss, and the direction is still kind of all over the place, and he gets thrown in, and I'm like, okay, cool, this is good, cool guy, I can get along with him, this is great. But it's still kind of chaotic. The whole team is still kind of like trying to find their way, and we're all going through all this stuff together. So, we're not all on the same page, which is understandable. I'm some new guy, and they're like, oh, hey man, I feel so, I'm sorry for, you walking into this. And I'm like, it is what it is. This could happen anywhere. And, so I would tell you, feeling lost, and I started to really feel lost. And I was like, man, what did I get myself into? How did I find this? Or what am I going to do to get better out of this? And I was like, man, do I've got to find some way to stay positive. I got to look at the positives, right? This is an opportunity for me to learn about myself and what I can handle and what my expectations are for myself, and the expectations of just the job in general. And looking at everything that I was going through, I was like, man, this is going to be tough, but I've got to come out better, right? So first thing I thought on Friday was, man, I don't know if I can keep doing this with this company. This is too many red flags already. But I had to really shift back and say, hey, you're going to go through tough times. And I got to start looking, living in the now, right? I've got to learn as much as I can. And if I really put my mind into work and focusing on what I need to do, maybe these outside things will kind of clear up on their own, and they're going to have to kind of go through this transition and this period together, right? So being lost, so I started to get like kind of really anxious. There was one night where, and I was stressed out throughout the week, and I had to remind myself that, hey, everything is going to be okay. And I think that's what happens is sometimes we go through these little spurts or these little hiccups, and we automatically kind of revert back to, some bad habits. I'm not used to waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I used to have this kind of freedom to kind of wake up whenever I wanted, and I would stay up a little bit later, but I wasn't getting as much sleep. So I had to kind of fine tune my sleep schedule towards the end of, the first week, and really just try to get at least 7 hours of sleep and kind of find a routine. But, throughout that process, I was so tired. I was so mentally drained. And, when I get home, I was just like, I would be thinking about this job, and I was like, man, you got to stop thinking about all these things that are impacting you, right? There's a big change. There's all this stuff going on, but you've got to be able to understand that you got to take one day at a time, right? I started to find myself really focusing on the future and saying, is this even going to be the correct job? Did I make the wrong mistake? Did I make a mistake by switching positions? And there's no way I would have found out about any of this unless I had switched positions or switched companies, right? So I had to remind myself that I've got to live day by day. And as things come up, I can't take them so personally, right? And that was one of the things I would take it, and I was like, was this my fault? And I started blaming myself for all these things that were going on within the company. I was like, this isn't my fault. I just came into this situation. I just happened to walk in and all of this, right? So that was one thing that I always kind of I would start to get future based. So I started getting, kind of panicky, and I would get anxious, and I was stressed out, and I was like, man, what am I going to do? What if I, do I quit? Do I find something else? How does this work? And I have to work through that process, but I had to really reel myself back in and get back to the now. So that's one thing I would challenge you guys. If you are starting to feel lost or you start to revert to your old ways, you've got to start living in the now and really start focusing on where you're at mentally. Because a lot of the times you can start going back down this path that you were on before, and you got to change and say, I'm not going to be that person again. I rule my world, and I'm going to be successful no matter what. And I had to tell myself this. And I would wake up every day and say, hey, I'm going to be the best at this staffing I can be, right? That was my intent. When I come in, I was like, I'm going to be the best at this position. I'm going to do this quicker and faster and better than anybody else. And that was just a mentality that I had to have, because that's the mentality I want, right? I want to be the best at the things that I do. So I've got to be cautious on that, because a lot of the times when I focus on being the best and, really getting way far ahead of the game, that's when I start to get stressed. That's when I start to get anxious. So what I would recommend for you guys is to understand and be reflective, right? Understand your thoughts, because those thoughts are going to run through your mind. And those thoughts were running a mile a minute in my head. Should I quit? What should I do? Is this my fault? Are there things that I could have done better? Should I have researched the company a little bit better? All these other things that would pop in my head. And I had to tell myself, hey, you know what? Just calm down, man. This is your first 2 weeks. Yeah, it's been tough. And, this is probably not the best scenario to go into, but it's going to get better, because you've done this before. You've been, you've had your back up against the wall, and you've been in crazy situations, and you've always made it out better. So I had to calm myself down. I had to tell myself to be better and find, Anthony, find that peace within myself to enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey. That's something I always tell you guys. And I think that's something, that was kind of almost a theme of last week, is enjoying the journey, enjoying the ride that you're on, right? You're going to make some decisions because you think that they're going to be better. And sometimes when you first look at them, they might look terrible, or they might not look like they're going to work out, but just be patient, persevere through these things. And, if you decide, hey, this isn't the best thing for you, then it's time to move on, right? You just got to figure out what is the best overall for you. So that was my week or my last couple weeks. So I wanted to share that with you guys, because when I look at myself in the lost, when I feel lost, I start to get, kind of revert to all these bad habits that I had before, these bad thought processes. So I wanted to give you guys an insight to that, an insight to my week, and understand that we all go through crazy weeks and we all go through these crazy things, and just know that you're not by yourself. So if you guys have any questions or you guys need anything or need some support, feel free to reach out to me. I love hearing from you guys. I reach out, I have some people that hold me accountable and people that I talk to about these things, and, they help me along the way too. So if you don't have anybody, please feel free to reach out to me. Anthony Hester at breathemotivation.com. You can go on my social media, whatever that looks like. I want to be able to be there for people that feel like they're alone. And that was the whole process of this podcast as well, is we're not alone. We're in this to win together, and we're going to make it together. And if you want to find success, you want to find your purpose and passion, guess what? We can do it together. So, man, let's go out and have a big week, right? So let's go have a big Monday. Let's go have a big week, because you guys deserve it. You guys are the best. You guys are on your way to greatness. You guys are on your way to success. And I know we will continue to find that positivity within the world and create some magic, right? Bring people together and really make things happen. So check out our website, breathemotivation.com, newly updated. If you guys want some free, some coaching sessions, you guys can book a session there online with me. If you guys want to do just a consultation to even see what that's about, goal setting or whatever you guys want to talk about, I'd love to do that. And actually, that's how I like to do it. So if you guys want a free consultation, just hit the contact me button, leave your information, and I'll give you a call. How's that sound? And we'll spend some time, 15, 20 minutes just to kind of talk about your goals and what you want to accomplish. And we'll see if you guys want to work together. So as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success. I will see you tomorrow on Tuesday. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.